I'm Joyce Lynn, Head of Developer Relations at Postman. Let's talk about API-first software development. Whether you're adopting cloud services or transitioning to a cloud infrastructure, an API-first approach can help you manage the complexity of working in the cloud. As more teams move to the cloud, they implement processes to deal with new microservices architectures, containerization, and continuous delivery. In a traditional code-first approach to app development, you'll have delays, rework, and maybe a disjointed experience for the developer as teams keep tacking on functionality as new needs arise. On the other hand, an API-first approach implies the design and development of an API comes before the implementation. Your team starts by creating an interface for their application, and after the API is developed, the team will use that interface to build out the rest of the application. By introducing new features as an independent service accessed by API, the rest of the app can be stitched together along with any other future apps. Well, hold up. Isn't speed to market super important? Why would I spend extra time thinking about the API first when I can start building my service right away? Let's take a closer look at the traditional code-first approach. With code-first, you might start off in your IDE, tap out a few lines of code. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you know that eventually you'll need an interface to deliver this service, but your main focus right now is on core functionality, not the interface. When it finally comes time to implement the interface or the API, the core service is mostly done, so that's going to be what drives the implementation of the API. And in some cases, you might need to shoehorn the API into place to accommodate the behavior of the core service. For example, you can't retrieve information the way you want to due to the way access is granted, or the way a database is structured. To the end user who ultimately uses the API, it can feel tacked on, like an afterthought to the core service. Besides the disjointed developer experience, this approach leaves your team vulnerable to bottlenecks. Once a version of an API is completed, developers will commit the code to a shared repository and release it to a server environment. Only then can your dependent teams, your first consumers, get started. At this point, there's a bunch of other tools that you might use to consume the API, to develop test cases, write documentation, provide feedback. This is a synchronous flow that you see a lot with traditional waterfall software development processes. If you have a delay at any point in this process, that's going to hold up dependent teams and push back the overall delivery of the product. On top of all that, you can't gather feedback until much later in the development process, so any changes you make at that point are more costly since you've already invested valuable time and resources into this earlier version of the product. Now let's compare a code-first approach to an API-first approach. With an API-first approach, instead of starting with code, you start with the design, planning, mocks, and tests. As you might already be thinking, this process is aligned with the agile software development principle of iterating rapidly. This allows your team and any other stakeholders to weigh in on the proposed direction and functionality early and often. Gathering feedback at this early stage lets you make changes more easily and more inexpensively before a lot of time and effort is sunk into the project. Using mocks or an API collaboration platform like Postman makes the current state of the project more accessible to both technical and non-technical stakeholders. When you separate the design of the API from its implementation, the architect then is constrained only by the data model in business logic. Your API can grow and evolve free from any existing user interface or legacy engineering frameworks. Once everyone agrees on a direction, the design then serves as a contract or a handshake that all teams can begin working towards in parallel, and only then does coding officially begin. To drill down a little bit deeper on the API-first approach, let's talk about API-first development and API-first design. API-first development. This concept refers to developing the actual API first and foremost. When you're developing something new, this functionality should first be exposed as an API in your organization. The developers responsible for the rest of the application will be the first consumers of this API. This ensures quality, predictability, and stability to withstand other consumers, new web clients, mobile users, partners. Other projects requiring this functionality can now independently consume this functionality using this API. API-first design. This approach takes it one step further and requires planning the API's functionality before building the API itself. What functionality will the API have? What data will it expose? What will the developer experience be like? How will it scale? How will we add new functionality in the future? And thinking about the design first doesn't mean falling into an endless cycle of what-if scenarios. A good design should have the flexibility to adapt to changing circumstances and accommodate new insights. So when people talk about API first, sometimes they're only referring to API first development, and sometimes they're including API first design as well. If you're still with me, let's talk about why an API first approach works. An interface is intended to be an abstraction for interacting with the system, while the implementation is the way the system actually does its work. Hyrum Wright observed that it's tough to fully separate an interface from its implementation, especially in large-scale systems. He created Hyrum's law, saying the difference between an explicitly documented interface that you plan for and an implicit interface will only become clear with usage. Consumers will come to rely on capabilities from both the explicit and implicit interface, whether you intended for them to do it or not. At which point, any changes to the implementation will violate their expectations. In his own words, with a sufficient number of users of an API, it does not matter what you promise in the contract. All observable behaviors of your system will be depended on by somebody. If you're just getting started with API-first design and development, you're not alone. I'll drop a link to some popular resources in the description below. Try it out and let us know what you think.